takes entertainers in to meet the the brave soldiers that are facing war. A bit of a distraction, I guess, for them. Something to keep them entertained in the midst of what it is they're having to go through. Anyway, so I arrived in Kuwait, and I met all these young soldiers, and it was pretty much just like sitting here, except it was a bunch of special forces guys, And I was in this room with the elite of the local battalions, and I said, "You guys are like the real deal, right? You're all about to fly into Afghanistan, you're all about to fly somewhere, and there's going to be real battle to be a part of. I fought as Crixus, on a set where they call cut. I go off the side and I have a cup of coffee and then go back in with a bit of makeup on and fight again. So I've got nothing but look, my ancestors. My great-great-grandfather was like a real warrior. He was known as the only person that our tribe would follow into battle if he was at the front. So I'm sure that somehow through my lineage I have that, we call it Wairua, which is the spirit of my ancestors coming through. I live in a different country now. We're sort of part of the Commonwealth. The treaty between the Commonwealth and the Maori people created a relevant peace for the last 3 generations. Like the Hawaiians, we're arguing over a bit of land still. We're arguing about our rights as a culture to maintain our language, maintain our practices as a culture. But anyway, so I'm in Kuwait, and in front of these guys, I say, who's the toughest guy here? Like who's like Rambo? And they all point toward this bald-headed guy, right? That didn't look like anything special. He looked like a guy that you just meet in the pub, a little bit of weight around his stomach. He wasn't ripped with muscles. He was just, who can I find? Who can I find? I'll take the soldier. Come, brother, come up. He's the brother. So they said this guy, and his name was Knight. And they went, Knight. And Knight came up onto the stage, and it really, see the unassuming nature of him? Like, this guy is a military guy. But you meet these guys, and they just are really like you meet an actor, and there's automatically a kind of an air of self-esteem or confidence. Because our thing is a bit of an outward kind of thing. But you meet soldiers who are really trained well, and they're not really that outwardly, aggressive. They're not like security guards that you meet either that stand there and do all this sort of stuff. They're usually guys that are well trained, but actually kind of like hard to read. And this guy was really hard to read. When he came up, I didn't think much of him at all. I thought, really, this is Rambo? And I said to him, I said, tell me something. I said, listen, I watched that footage on YouTube where they're in the helicopter and they show the guys, going into villages, and they're like, heat maps, sort of heat sort of radar things are showing them as green figures. And when they get into a village, and I heard the dogs start barking, so they have to shoot the dogs and stuff like that to stop the noise, and then they sort of get in, like, when you come into those hand-to-hand combat situations, I mean, what do you do? Like, if you can't shoot the gun, you want to keep it quiet. Like, what do you do? And I'm sort of questioning, like, this next minute, he grabbed me in a chokehold. Do you want to get me in a chokehold? I bet he knows how to do it. Oh, not that hard. So that was great. That was awesome. He's serious. This guy's going to do exactly what this guy did in Kuwait, I'm telling you. I should never ask a soldier to show me how to do the death grip or anything like that. But he got me in the one that's like, he got me in that one. And he's doing the same thing, I'm telling you. These guys, it's just automatically in their abilities. And all of a sudden he started choking me out in front of this whole group of people who had come to see Crixus and Arzog or whatever, And I just started going. I started fainting. And I grabbed him by the balls as hard as I could. Because I thought that just the flight, it was just the survival instinct. And he told me the next day, he said, oh, that was a good move. Like, I almost let go, but that's what you should do, actually. But I sort of, I almost went, and then he let go. But first of all, the first thing he said to me, he whispered in my ear, he went, "Relax, kid." And he called me kid. He went, "Relax, kid." And I was like, and then he sort of let me go. And I was like, whoa, wow, thank you. Thanks for almost knocking me unconscious in front of a whole bunch of fans and critics. Now I look like an absolute wimp, right? And it was just like him, like exactly that same sort of look. It was really honestly. Trust me, a second ago when he grabbed me like that, this guy knows what's going on. But thank you, Bob. Wait up, I'm gonna wait a second. No, wait 1 second. I got my comeback in a second. So anyway, so I said to this guy, let's hang out for the next couple of days, and I hung out with him, and he told me some stories, not a lot, soldiers don't really like talking about this stuff, but he told me a few things, practical things, and then one of the things that he had in his backpack was he had this, I had terrible jet lag. I'd flown from New Zealand to Kuwait, and it's like a 20-something hour flight. The day that we arrived, we had to go see the troops straight away, and we were really struggling for energy. And all the soldiers, all the guys have got like that 48-hour energy drink. Yeah, what's it called? Ripper, that's what it's called, Ripper, right? And so they have that in their packs because
This gives us a perk. It's on water.
yeah, but also like the knight was telling me, if you get caught in a situation where you're stuck in a battle and you can't get out, you can't go to sleep, and you've got to stay on it, then you pull that out and you give yourself a charge of like Mirakuru, right? Trust me, I'm bringing this up for a very specific point. When I left Kuwait, I decided, at the very last minute, I decided to go through Los Angeles to New Zealand, which was the long way. Going back the other way was the shorter way, but I decided I'd just go through Los Angeles for a couple of days and then go back to New Zealand. And I had the Hobbit premiere. I jumped on a plane, I got to Los Angeles. The moment I got off the plane, I got into a taxi and there was a billboard for Arrow. And Arrow had Stephen Amell. Stephen Amell, who watches Arrow? Okay. So Stephen Amell had come to New Zealand when we were looking to replace the first Spartacus. When Andy Whitfield had to be replaced, unfortunately. Stephen Amell was one of the actors that came. There was Liam McIntyre, Stephen Amell, and this other guy from New York. And I saw Stephen on the poster for, he didn't get that, but he got Arrow. And I remember looking at the poster and going, oh, geez, there's Stephen Amell on Arrow. 2 days later, I was just about to go to the airport to leave, and my agent rang me and she said, Manu, where are you? And I said, I'm about to go to the airport. She said, we've got an audition for you. It's for this show called Arrow. And I was like, it was a big surprise for me because I was going like, I just saw his billboard. That's so weird that you say that, because Stephen Amell came to New Zealand. I met him there. And she goes, okay, well, they want you to go in and read for this role. And I said, I'm going to go to the airport. She said, just go in, they'll give you the sides. You'll just do a cold read, but they just want to see you. So I drove. I got to this casting agency. I had really bad jet lag because I'd now come from Kuwait to Los Angeles, and I just had no energy. I had no real energy for the role. And then I went, oh, the 48-hour energy drink, Rick. And so I opened up my suitcase and I took this thing out and I dropped it. And I swear to you, when I was in my audition for Arrow, I was like on Mirakuru, completely. Because this thing just, by the time I got up the stairs, I was like, whoa, okay, this is energy. And then of course you walk in and there's a bunch of actors that are all walking around, like there's 50 guys that looked like me, better than me, stronger than me, bigger than me. And it's, you walk into a LA audition and, it can be a little bit intimidating because all these guys are walking around, talking their lines, going like, looking at you going, and then you go, and then you start doing it, you're like, I sat down, I grabbed the script and I started reading it, and in Arrow, the opening scene was Oliver comes into the aeroplane, the downed aeroplane that he finds on the island. And as he's walking through, this figure drops from the ceiling and grabs him in a chokehold. And I'm sitting there reading this script, thinking, the chokehold. And so, and I'm listening to these guys that are in the lines that you had to read were, the figure drops from the ceiling, grabs Oliver in a chokehold, and says, "You've got 10 seconds to tell me something I believe, kid, or I'm going to rip out your throat box." And I was listening to the other actors that were going in, and like, it was kind of like, you know, you're thinking like, how do you deliver that line? And you know, I was listening, I could hear some guys go in there, some real American actors going in there, and they're going like, "Tell me something I believe, kid, or I'm going to rip out your fucking throat box." Excuse the language, kids. And I was thinking, yeah, that guy's going a bit hard, you know. The next guy would be in there and be like, "You know, I'm going to rip out your throat box, man. I'm going to rip out your..." And you think like, barely hear that guy. It doesn't sound like he's on, you know, he's on the level, you know. And I was listening. I was trying to monitor, thinking like, geez, what's the right note to hit? And then they said, okay, luckily I got ahead of a few of the guys because I knew I was going to the airport. And they said, okay, Manu, you ready? You can come in. I said, yeah, come in, man. And I walked in and there was, you know, the camera was set up like this camera over here, and you know, the casting director behind it, David Rappaport, who casts all of the CW series, a lot of big films as well. David Rappaport's behind the camera. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And he goes, yeah, I like you in Spartacus, man. Did a great job. And I'm like, thank you, brother, thank you. And he goes, okay, well, you know, this guy is kind of like a, you know, he's some kind of a gruff military guy, you know, I don't want to tell you too much, we just want to see your take on it, you know. Have you read the lines? You know, you can hold the sheet, we know you've only just read it for the first time. Oh, yeah, no, it's like, you know, and I said, can I have the actor come in front of the camera? Can I actually get him in a chokehold? Can I hold him in the chokehold so I feel like I'm in the position? And this young guy's like, oh yeah, sure. Anyway, so he walks to the front of the camera, and I you're a bit taller than he was, but anyway. Yeah. Can you hold the microphone? So I get him in this chokehold, right? And it took about 30 seconds before David Rappaport was ready with the camera, right? And I'm sort of in this, I've got him and I'm going like this. And David's like, okay, we're rolling. Are you ready? And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. And he goes, okay, and action. And suddenly, that's really, the moment that he said action, I thought, what was the way that you know, Knight had said it back in Kuwait? He just whispered in my ear, you know. It was really unassuming the way that he'd said it to me. He held it really close to his ear. And so, they're all good. Okay. He goes, action. I said, relax, dude. You got 10 seconds to tell me something I believe. You've got 10 seconds to tell me something I believe, or I'm gonna cut out your throat box. And it was better than that, I swear. The microphone wasn't there. But anyway, but at the moment that I said it, the guy, the reader, collapsed. Can you lie on this before? Perfect. The reader collapsed unconscious on the floor. This is seriously my audition for Arrow. I'm standing in an LA casting agency in front of one of the guys who's one of the biggest casting agents, you know, in that genre. And I've knocked out the reader, like out cold. And at first I kind of panicked and I said, is this part of the script? And he said, no, I think you choked him out. And I was like, kid. I went, hey, kid, you okay? And he came conscious. Luckily that stuff sort of knocks you out for a couple of seconds, you know, hopefully. And he got up and I was like, bro, what's up? Are you okay? And he was like, yeah. He was like, I'm good. And then David Rappaport said, go to the bathroom and wash your face. You know, thanks, bud. Give this guy a big hand by the way. And so off he went to the bathroom. And I was seriously, I was thinking,